All right, everybody, welcome back to the podcast, to the Future Families podcast. My name is Silas.
I'm Aaron.
And I'm Zane.
And we're here to answer all of your parenting questions.
Wow.
Ooh. Doesn't that sound official?
Or arrogant, yeah. Something.
I said answer, not answer correctly.
We're here to give you the
true.
perfect
We'll give
answer
you
to
the
all
wrong
of your
answer.
questions.
We will give you our opinions, which are
There you
not
go.
gospel, but sometimes our opinions are
Well,
based off
sometimes
of
they're the
gospel.
yeah.
So, if you haven't heard us talk about school
They
with a
haven't been
K,
listening.
then it's time to listen up.
Oh.
At the top of every show description that we put out is a link to our school community where you can get in touch with a lot of other parents who are probably going through the same thing as you. In parenting, it's very easy to think I'm alone. My kids are the only ones that are disobedient. I'm the only one having this problem. But in reality, how much is new under the sun?
Something.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing
I think
is
that's
new
the
under
answer.
the sun. And everybody's been in your boat or a boat very similar to yours, so they're all going to have opinions
don't
that are
even
different
have
from
a
ours,
boat.
which is good.
Like speedboats.
Maybe soon. But on that, we reached out to our school community the other day and asked them for questions that they would like to be answered on the podcast. So we have here a list of questions to go through and answer today. And that's going to be today's podcast, which will be kind of fun. I'm excited.
Okay, let's do it. I noticed, though.
You were just straight to it. You just
one
didn't
of
want
the-
to talk
yeah,
about it at all.
One of the
Okay.
people on there actually called me this week. So
Dun,
she's
dun,
getting
dun.
double priority.
Actually, the same person wrote in 2 questions.
Yeah, well,
so
had
she
more than
really
that.
likes
She had a lot
us.
of questions.
Well,
which is
one
good.
was really practical. I thought would be a good answer.
So
Good
let me
for
just.
everybody.
So that's a great start. Let me just put a precursor.
Oh, hey, we don't cuss.
If
Did you
you're
listen to
in the
last
school
one?
community, you can ask us for things like, "Hey, can we jump on a call?" And if you do that, it's very helpful, and we might be able to say yes, depending on what that week looks like.
we did yesterday.
Don't just do it out of the blue, because we don't want to be rude. But Dad is very busy,
She
and he
texted
does take. Oh, okay. Well,
She
that's
was-
better.
she was
But
rude. Good
ask
job.
us on the school community because we'd love to get it as content. We'd love to record you asking these questions and
True,
help
which
and
we
us
didn't
go
do.
through. Yeah, and that's great content for us, and you get help. So it helps us, and if you want to help us, we can help you more.
There you go.
Wow. I
You can
sound
e-
like a TV
You
guy.
can even just change your name, if you're talking about your
You want to
son.
change my name?
Yeah.
No, like
I always
in
thought
the-
I was a Chuck.
The
we can
writer.
protect the innocent. That's what I'm
Are these
saying.
names that we're telling today, are these real?
Yeah, well, we'll read the
These are
first
real,
names.
but it's only their first name, and they're
Oh.
pretty mild questions.
Okay, are we ready to get into this?
Pretty
I'll probably
unique
answer
names.
this first
Yeah, I
one.
think
Go
so.
right ahead.
Okay, this is from Devin. Devin says, "What are your thoughts on twin siblings who are constantly tattling on each other? How would you suggest instilling a sense of being on the same team instead of trying to get each other in trouble so frequently?"
Well,
Dun, dun, dun.
I'm assuming that the twins are older than your twins.
Yeah.
Since they're tattling.
Are you telling me I don't have an opinion worth sharing?
Yes.
Okay, Dad.
I don't have twins. Zane.
I don't
So
have
the
twins
only
either.
unique thing about twins, right, is
Yeah.
that he's just dealing with the same sin issue probably at the same time.
It's not that different. I mean,
Yeah.
all of us tattled on each other all the time.
Yeah.
So I would first of all go get you can just ask chat or Google or whatever for like scripture verses which talk about feet that are swift to shed innocent blood or feet that are swift to run to mischief. And you want to get the ones that seem to be the most understandable way that's worded. Because that's just saying basically if the heart behind tattling, right, is they want to bring, glory to God, help the family. They see this sibling as genuinely like, hey, they're doing something bad. We got to help them, right? Awesome. You want them tattling. But it's called tattling for a reason. It's not called like edification or admonishment, right?
Constructive criticism.
Yeah, tail bearing. I don't know where that came from. But all it means is just, they want to see them get in trouble. And it's funny to them when they get in trouble. And it's like that's where, like, growing up, you can tell, growing up in our house, what would happen if you tattled?
You would get in trouble, which was the worst.
Yeah, you get spanked as well. And the kid
Yeah.
would probably get in trouble if you were actually tattling something truthful. But your motive made it either, again, helpful or you just, love to see somebody get in trouble. Which
Something
both are evil.
super important here, which Zane, you wrote down, is how old are these twins?
Yeah.
Because that affects how you respond a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, I wasn't going to speak on that. Maybe you can come back around. But what I was going to talk about was what we do, or what I often do with the students I'm discipling. If I encourage them, if they see another student doing something wrong, to not go directly to a staff member and tell them. I mean, depending on what it is. Now, if it's
Right.
something that's
Dangerous.
like this is dangerous or somebody's being put in harm's way in some way, then okay, that's not a time to really worry about tattling. Like safety's more important. But if we're talking about the general run-of-the-mill issues that come up in daily life with kids living with each other, the best thing I think to encourage them to do is go in, like if they're actually doing something that's wrong or against the rules or whatever, go talk to them and say, hey, you shouldn't be doing that. I might need to tell mom and dad if you like keep doing it, you know?
Yeah, so we do that at Future Men.
Yeah.
Right? And we say it's like if they find cigarettes in the room. So the thing to remember is, again, it's motive. So this kid finds something, or your siblings, something happened they know is wrong. When they see it happen, so at Future Men, we'll stick with that example. A kid takes cigarettes out of his pants pocket that he stole from his apprenticeship or whatever, and he's hiding them under his bed or something, right in front of his roommate. That's communicating to the roommate, I trust you. You're as evil as I am. You won't do anything about this. Because when the kids come and tell me, hey, he just did this, what should I do? And I'm like, well, first of all, why does he think it's okay to do it in front of you?
Yeah.
You've got a bad reputation already. So you need to work on that. But to get to the point, we always say, go talk to them and tell them, hey, you have a choice. We can go destroy this together and it's over. Or if they don't want to destroy it together, then, we'll go and I'll give you 24 hours to deal with this with the staff, or I will. Right? Because again, you're letting them like kind of direct the ship a little bit. But I guarantee if you say, let's go destroy this together. So they go out to the dumpster to tear the cigarettes up to where they're unsmokable, right? And just put it in there in, multiple pieces or whatever. He might have won a friend because the kid thinks, okay, he doesn't want me getting in trouble. He doesn't want me having some bad habits, and he didn't tell on me, right? And you help the situation. Or you might be thinking, okay, next time I'll never do something in front of that kid. Mm-hmm. But that's actually good too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But the Bible talks about a fool repeating his folly. You're training into them, not a culture of like tattletaling or snitches, right? But rather like, do you really care about this kid?
Yeah.
Because it's good to communicate to the parent or the staff or whatever when something bad is happening, because we're all here to help change. But the method is important. How they respond is important. And I would tell that kid, I mean, you can't like guarantee what their response is. Even if they go destroy it in front of you, they may now be thinking, I don't like you anymore. And they'll just keep doing their foolishness. It's not on you. You do the right thing. But we have told them, if it's like the kid's talking about suicide or he's got drugs, I wouldn't consider cigarettes in the same category as drugs. I mean, I know they're not good, but it's like, to me, they're not dangerous in the sense of like a drug would be. Or if there's a knife or there's something like that, then it's like, okay, we need to know about this as a parent, like today, not let's see what happens with the kid. So yes, you can go deal with it, but come tell me as well, and I'm going to follow up on this.
I like the rest of his question where he says, how would you suggest instilling a sense of being on the same team together instead of just trying to get each other in trouble? And I think that kind of starts in discipleship and how like the family culture you're building. Because if it feels like the kids are competing for being like mom and dad's favorite or the most trusted or whatever might be motivating that. Because, yeah, you're right. Sometimes it's just because they think it's funny. But sometimes it's because they're vying for a position or something. Maybe. Yeah. And I think that's something you have to watch out for too. And so, I mean, a way you can curb it, I think, is like what you guys did, is consequence the tattler too, if you know that their heart in it is wrong.
Yeah.
So
what's tough though is when, if the heart is wrong, but it's not necessarily feet running the mischief wrong, like haha, this is fun for me to see you get in trouble, but rather their own arrogance and pride. It's tough to discipline that, especially in kids that aren't your own, like a Future Man or something, or in a school setting kind of thing. That's tough. And I think, but that's where discipleship comes in, where you'd say, look, man, this is beneficial to know, but like your heart position is just wretched. It's like, you're wanting to be exalted at the expense of somebody else. That's like a politician.
Yeah. Well, and I think the politician politician. Discipleship is important to that, not because that's where you address it only. It is important because of that, but it also helps you know the kid's heart.
Yeah.
If the only real conversations, which we've talked about this, you have are when they tattle, then it's really hard to tell. Like, are they being legit? Are they just trying to feel better about themselves? But if you've been doing discipleship for 3 years, you're going to know a whole lot more.
Yeah, it's good.
When it comes to building a family team, it's interesting because he said instilling a sense of being on the same team together instead of trying to get each other in trouble so frequently. And you both sort of said this, but just to explicitly say it, the goal isn't to make the twins think they're on the same team. It's to make them think we're all on the same team. Like, it's the whole family. Because if you just do the twins, especially if you have other kids, that's going to create its own issues. But I think a lot of that goes back to, like, go listen to the episode we just did on the importance of your words and the way you speak. And I think building up your family team comes across first and foremost from how you and your wife treat each other and treat the kids with you, and what you say to your kids and encouragement and building them up and towards that team goal. Because I think that more than anything is going to tell these kids and give them a sense of, like, loyalty for one another to a good spot, not to a spot of accepting each other's sin and hiding it for each other.
That's good.
But it'll build that up for them, and you'll have to do a lot less work, like one-on-one, like you guys should be each other's best friends. You can say that all you want, but if then you go, like, treat your wife like poorly or speak poorly or then get frustrated with them, it's like, well, you want us to be best friends, but you're not. So it just helps build the family team, not like the kid team.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, we talked about words in the last episode, and this one, his question's pretty specific. Yeah, think through, like, my mom used to always say, I want you guys all to be best friends. And I think even Lori has said that before.
Mom says that a lot growing up.
There's a lot of truth in it, but it's also like a weird pressure of, like, I don't know what's the best way to say that. Maybe comment below if your parents did something which you feel like in your wife's case, it seems like they really are, like, a lot of best friends.
Yeah.
So what you might just ask, and we can talk about it on different podcasts, like, what's, like, the impetus for that? Like, what helped foster that, as opposed to just, saying, I want you guys to be best friends? Because my mom said it all the time, and it's like, we weren't best friends at all.
Well, one of the things we've talked about openly is kind of like what our topic was about on the last episode regarding words, but they were never allowed to talk disparagingly about each other.
Crazy word.
Privately or publicly. Like, if they ever had a problem, they were encouraged to go and talk to that person and try to deal with it between the two of them before they could go and, like, complain about it to mom and dad. Or there just was no room for that, because the way that her dad saw it was they are a team, and they actually, live that out to an extreme way that some families will never do, because they were traveling on the road year in and year out. They were living in a bus together, so they had to be on the same team, literally, they were a literal team. And so I think that helped time together really encourage that, and then also just very clear expectations on how we support each other was a big part of it.
So super briefly, if they're tattling on each other and you truly feel it's for the sake of just throwing the other one under the bus, that's when you can discipline both. But overall, it comes back to how are you acting as a family in terms of building up that team. Jillian, I probably shouldn't yell on the mic. What are some family rhythms you recommend for discipling young kids, toddlers especially, at home? Do you try to follow up with what they've learned in church or do your own thing? Before we answer this, family rhythms is an interesting word based on something that's happening in the school community in the next month or two.
We're launching our band. No, I'm just kidding.
Edit that out, Gabriella.
Yeah. Anyway, no, so this is a great question from Jillian, because family rhythms are huge, and so much to the point that one of the first things we want to do on school is we're going to be doing daily family rhythms.
What's a family rhythm?
So
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, you do
a practice.
No,
it's
a habit.
It's
every Sunday we do this.
So
every
habits.
evening we do this. Yeah, but family rhythms meaning it's always okay. Anyway, thanks for being difficult.
You're welcome.
Great. Family rhythms
Kind words.
of being mean.
Words of
all right. Anyway,
encouragement.
so on the school community, we're going to be doing daily things you can be doing in your family to just give you sort of hold your hand, massively practical. Hey, here's your rhythm for today. Sit down with your family and ask them these two questions. So if you're not in the school community, jump on there and we're going to be going through this. Now, back to the question. So I'll
Great
answer this
question.
first.
Which
You
we
will?
have-
Yeah, I will.
Ooh, okay.
Okay.
You have toddlers.
First of all, I'm getting a phone call.
You have 2 toddlers.
Okay. So this is an interesting one, and it's one that Jules and I are not good at. And we have realized the more we are bad at it, the more disgruntled we become with each other, and the more off pace the girls get with each other and with us, meaning they lean towards much more disobedience and tendency to throw fits.
Your little twin girls are
Believe
disobedient?
it or not, it's a new thing just the past week.
Throwing fits?
And so,
Little sinners.
super practically, we have, when it comes to sitting down, figure out what's important in your life. We've talked about this before. Find your standards, find your non-negotiables, set your priorities. So every Wednesday night, what do Jules and I do?
Date night.
Date night. Every Tuesday night, what do you guys do?
Date night.
Dad? Every Saturday night,
It's
him and
date
mom
night.
go on date night. So
Wait, it's still good.
that's super practical, but it really is prioritizing the marriage first, because the family rhythm will come out of how the marriage is functioning. So I mentioned that one first because it's by far the most important.
Okay.
Other than that, Sunday nights, every Sunday night we do family dinner with her family, with our family. Sometimes we'll just skip both and have a family dinner with us if we need sort of a reset. Every Thursday night is a Bible study, parenting Bible study. Every other. But on the other Thursdays, we usually fill it with parenting stuff. And then every Monday night tends to be we hang out with friends. So that's sort of just.
Jillian asks,
but
her family.
Well, I know. So I was just giving a practical example. This is sort of what we do and what works for us on a weekly basis. What about daily?
Yeah, well, that's where I think the idea of family worship, you cannot start too young. Even when you're just married, like Zane and Lizzie are now probably doing something for daily or several times a week.
Semi-daily.
Semi-daily.
You really jump in because it's like you just get in the habit, and once you're in the habit, it's like what you said, that rhythm thing. It's what you do. So with toddlers, you're working on getting them to sit still. You're working on getting them to understand this is something we do every day, or maybe let's say 4 days a week.
Yeah.
And you sing a couple songs, pray with them, right? Get them out to where maybe give them like a toddler Bible, one of those little things where they're actually holding something, if it doesn't distract them. If they're just learning self-control, they can be folding their hands while you do this. And there's lots of things you can do that are basically helping those kids be prepared for actually sitting down and listening in church, or sitting down and listening in family, devotions later on in life, in a classroom setting, whatever. You're just training them towards the ability to have self-control, as Jillian wrote with toddlers, right? For recommend discipling young kids. So that's what I'd say.
The act of the family worship, I would say, if the most important thing you do on a weekly basis outside of church is your date night, the family worship will make the biggest difference in your home on a daily basis.
Oh, yeah.
Again, this is not something we do super well, but we have been working on doing it more recently. And our girls are like 1.5. So they're not talking, but they're just now learning to sit still. We make them fold their hands. We sing along to a YouTube video, like a praise and worship song, and then we read them one kid's book. And that's family worship. And it's always after dinner. And you'll find that it's something you have to do, especially as the man, because you're supposed to lead your family spiritually, and that doesn't start at any age. It just starts once they're there.
Yeah.
But also, like, if you want to talk super practically, there's nothing that calms your kids down more and gets them more ready for bed than sitting down and singing some slow songs and being read a story.
Yeah. So for toddlers, right?
Yeah.
You guys still do praise, baby? I mean,
Yeah.
I know it's, a shameless plug for whoever does that. It's like, it's great. We did it for
It's
years.
just worship songs with like B-roll of kids playing and parents and families.
Yeah, just
and
corny,
funny
like,
animations.
Pictures of nothing, really.
Yeah.
But it's like, but the kids love it, and especially toddlers. So, and as they get older, right, you can begin to, let's bring in some City of Light or some Sovereign Grace or whatever. So,
and so that's like the massively important. The other thing, real quick to touch on what they learned in church or do your own thing, just to say what you did. You sort of did both.
Yeah.
Most of the time we were doing our own thing, and then sometimes if church was going through something interesting, you would jump on that, or if kids had questions about it. But I don't think you need to feel the pressure to do one or the other exclusively. I think truthfully, it's a lot less about what you do and a lot more about just getting to do it. So whatever you're actually going to sit down and do consistently is probably the best thing to do. If that's going along with church, do that. If that's a YouTube series, great. In the school community, one of our resources we're creating is just a like sort of a handout with all of the things we have used for family devotion. So things like Praise Baby, things like the Bible Project, that are just engaging for you and your kids. It's sort of like homeschooling nowadays, to where you don't actually need to be a teacher for your kids to learn. There's so many other resources out there that you can learn together.
So on the school page thing, right?
Yeah.
However that works. I've mentioned this before, but like in our parenting classes, we always have the beginning is accountability, and they're always sharing new stuff they're doing.
Yeah.
Actually, they're only supposed to share in the devotion portion of it if they got something different or new, because the other people don't know what that is. And it would be the same in the school page. Like, share what book you're reading. Share what,
For the family
devotional
devotions.
series. Like, or what new music group on YouTube is like super relaxing, or these guys are real annoying, or whatever it is, but like something that's like beneficial. So,
and this is kind of stupid, but I'll say it because we were just talking to a family. Sorry, this is kind of Cupid.
That's what our kids do.
I know. We were just talking to a family, and they were talking about their kids being wild, and it's like impossible to like tune them down.
Yeah.
And one of them mentioned like what do you guys do during dinner? And like, oh, we usually watch TV. And with a bunch of toddlers, when you're talking about family rhythms, the more you can get them away from things. I mean, it's so like mainstream, I guess. Mainstream isn't a word. Mainstream to say this, but like the more you can get them away from kids, especially if you're winding down and getting ready to do these things like devotions and dinner.
Oh yeah.
And if you can sit down to a family dinner, to us it was a non-negotiable, and I thought that was sort of everybody's family, but it's definitely not. And so it's just starting with all of you eating the same meals together as often as possible is massively grounding for your kids, because they actually talk to you and talk to each other, and you can learn more in 20 minutes sitting at the table with your kid than like a whole day with all of y'all doing your own things.
On family dinners.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think you don't have to overcomplicate it either.
No.
Like, she uses the words rhythm. I mean, your life kind of already has a rhythm built into it. Like, talk about the things that are going on in your family, and use those as kind of like anchor points for what you're going to bring up in family worship or in discipleship time.
Yeah. I already said this, but just to say it again.
Wow.
The best diet is the one you'll do. And so when it comes to family worship and being intentional with your rhythm, it's like not to say whatever works for you guys, do it. So if the TV works, then do it. But like take small steps. Don't feel like you have to figure out tomorrow, but do start moving and just do what is going to actually do what you'll be consistent with. And most importantly, before you start implementing family rhythms, what do you need to do with your spouse?
Get on the same page? I don't know.
Get on the same page.
Okay.
Don't try to start.
I thought this was going to be something about like, family rhythms, like,
No, stop.
like maybe you were getting into a different era.
This is not
that podcast.
The 70s.
This is not something to implement alone. So get on the same page, because if your husband comes home, you're like, we're doing family rhythm night. You're like, what?
What's
I'm
that?
grouchy.
Yeah.
Dad. Okay.
Never grouchy.
Brigitte.
Birgitta.
How does she say it?
I don't know.
Birgitta or Birgitta.
Didn't you talk to her?
I did talk to her, but I don't
You
remember
still
how
don't remember how she
said
did her name? Okay, cool. She asks, Zane, why don't you read this one? I'm talking too much.
What are
Yeah,
three
you are.
practical things we can do to begin being more intentional in discipleship with early teens?
I love that she asked for 3 practical things. Let's
3.
give her 3 practical. I'm going to make these up. Sorry, Zane, you can read your things.
I just put my thoughts down so you guys can add to it. But I said meet regularly, weekly, and make this a priority. Talk about God often with them, and then just building trust for open communication. I feel like are 3 ways. The meeting regularly, it's crazy. You may feel like, man, I don't have much to talk about, but just making that time, setting it aside every week, saying, no, this is going to be our hour or however long you choose to talk every week. They start to expect it, and they start saving things to actually talk about and bring up, and they open up way more than you think. And I would encourage, if you start trying to do that and you're like, this really isn't working, don't give up. Just keep going. Eventually, I think the kids will start getting used to it and realize, okay, like mom and dad are not just being weird. They're actually like wanting to be intentional.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
I think that if you want to have like this strong family unit, right? Going back to question 1, the discipleship is a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
Like, I think people can treat it like if we ever start doing that, or maybe we will one day, but it's like it has to be today, and it has to be like when I asked a kid asked me yesterday, He's like, well, how long do you do it if they're not really being open? I was like, there's no, like, you do it forever, like from beginning to end until they're
So we
out
say
of your
this to
house.
future men. That'd be the perfect example to give. It's like we have a boy there right now who came in very, very bitter. I mean, very bitter. And it's like, what, 4 months later? And the response now when we're talking about, like, in our directors meetings on discipleship with the boys, right? Well, that kid's opening up, he's sharing, he's talking, and it's like, praise God, it's awesome. But it's just like he knows we're going to meet. This guy still cares. He's still going to come in with his questions, and he's expecting an answer from me, right?
Yeah.
So after a while, they just get tired of being the deadpan, I'm going to give the no emotion answer, and they just start sharing because, well, I'm already here. I did discipleship when I was in college with a guy. I was assigned, had to do it because I was an RA, and I was like, I don't want to do this. This guy's weird. Mark Tatlock, if you're listening, you weren't weird. You helped me. But then I was very opposed to the idea of forced discipleship.
Yeah.
But it's like after we started meeting, 3 or 4 weeks in a row, I just thought, well, I don't care what this guy thinks of me. I'm just going to be open and honest and just say exactly what I'm thinking. And gee, Manili, right? It worked.
Oh, wow.
There it is.
So that's good. So be faithful. That's the biggest thing. And she says, Zane says, talk about God often with them.
Yeah.
I would say yes, in the sense of not necessarily just read the Bible to them. Well, that's good too. But talk about the realness of God in the sense of you're bringing the God perspective into the topics, into the questions, whether it's about music, whether it's about how they're dressing that week, or so-and-so is in the hospital, right? Or so-and-so is dying. Or like when you talk about God, it's like you're relating your Christianity to playing it out in front of your kid.
You're teaching them a worldview when you do
100%.
that. Yeah.
And it's like, and it's you, right? And your kid. It's like, what's more important than that? Nothing. So
Last bullet point you have here is build trust for open communication. And I would say that goes back to what we just talked about, which is consistency. That's the fastest way to build trust, is just to show up exactly when you say you're going to show up every week and make it a priority.
Good.
The second way, which we've also talked about this in the past, is don't overreact when they're talking to you, and don't freak out in the discipleship meetings when they start to open up, which is what you've wanted all along. And then they open up about something that you never would have thought your kid would say, and then you blow up on them, and now you're back to square one, sort of.
Yeah. And chances are, if you're discipling and you have multiple children, it seems weird, but like just about anything they say, you're going to be able to deal with it.
Yeah.
Maybe not at that moment, especially if it's something like I'm pregnant, or I've been doing drugs, or, I got kicked out of school today, or, whatever it is. But like 3 weeks later, you found a way to get through it, right? So that night you will too. So just calm down, right? Maybe take a deep breath if you need to pray, or just say, okay, I'm not sure how to respond right now.
Yeah.
Let's just pray together and maybe just be quiet that night. I don't know.
Sometimes that's the best thing. Last thing I'll add.
I was going to say something, but I forgot.
Think that through. Last thing I'll add is, so that's meet regularly, which is once a week in our opinion. Talk about God with them and build trust for open communication. The last thing I'll say, bonus, is the best way that we have found to do this is go through a book with them.
Read her next question.
Oh, okay, cool.
So read that one.
Okay. She said, I'd like a discussion on what we can encourage our boys with that's outside of us, like podcasts, books, devotionals, movies, etc., especially if the topics are one in which a homeschool child can relate. So we'll jump in more into that in a second. But the advantage of going through a book, you read one chapter a week, sometimes two if it's really short, sometimes half a chapter, just establish it beforehand. And you talk about the book usually for 5 minutes. Like it's not,
right.
It does not dominate your discipleship time. What it does is it gets both you and your kid used to that level of, man, this book is talking about being vulnerable with God or getting through this issue. So it just gets them talking. It's just a vehicle for you to have that open relationship. And then it forces you both to go through books, which is actually great for both of you.
Yeah. And sometimes the chapters are actually, this is so amazing. And you're in great, deep discussions. She and I were talking yesterday, and we mentioned Thoughts for Young Men. And it's so funny. She's like, I actually had that book already in my downloads. And she said that her husband was looking at other J.C. Ryle stuff, and he happened to see the one on parenting, because he has this is written in the 1800s. And she said that he just started reading that, and he put down Thoughts for Young Men, and now he's like devouring this. He said because he's so blunt, he's so real. She said he found J.C. Ryle to be extremely refreshing, and I'm like, I totally agree. He's a great
J.C. Ryle is
great
phenomenal.
writer. And it's like, But I told her, so when you're reading the book, like Thoughts for Young Men, I said the modern version has like questions at the end of each little segment. Great. I said, but then ask AI. This sounds so terrible. Ask the demon spirit to give you like, hey, give me 3 good thought questions. You can literally say from the book Thoughts for Young Men by J.C. Ryle, chapter 1, and it'll do it.
Yeah.
I said, but if you take your notes that you read, right, and you've assimilated the chapter yourself, and then you got a couple of cool like thought-provoking summary questions. Man, it's like you may not get to them, but you come to that like meeting prepared to watch your kid grow as a man or woman.
Yeah.
And there's some great books for boys and girls. So be super encouraged. And because this is a podcast, right? I told her yesterday too. She was saying, was there another good book that my husband can read or we can read? Just some general parenting tips. And of course there's a million. But I said, man, get Reb Bradley's, train up or child parenting tips.
Yeah.
That's like super basic, super simple, and he's
super short.
He's blunt.
Not a long book.
I love blunt, and it's like, there's some really good stuff out there. And my point in saying that is, none of this is Aaron Boldman, curriculum. I don't have one. I don't even need one. It's like we were always the hodgepodge of like 10 good parenting style authors, and it's like, okay, God, help us lead our family through these 10 or through these, however many it was. And I think it's balanced. So it's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's really important to make sure you as a parent, you're using your discernment in these things and not just saying, oh, well, J.C. Ryle did it, so we're doing it.
Yeah.
Because you always say like the 80-20 rule when you're reading books, and I love bringing it up because I really agree with it. When you're reading these things, you have to discern what is good and what is biblical and what you agree with, and then the rest of it you just need to throw out. So anytime we recommend something here, we're not saying we 100% agree with everything this person says or has ever written, but we agree with a lot of their principles, and we think they're pretty solid. So you as a parent have to do that. And I think, sometimes you hear like the downfall when you have like, I don't know, I don't really know how growing kids is aged with like, but I know it was big in the 90s.
It's aged poorly. It's like, they have a bad reputation.
They have a bad
aged,
reputation and stuff.
It's like warm milk.
But
it's a bummer. It's like, no, it's good stuff. You guys are nuts.
It's kind of the danger of putting stuff out like that because people will come, maybe their intent wasn't this way, but people will come along and be really dogmatic with it and treat it like it's the biblical text. And it's like, no, that's not the point. The point is to help encourage families and give them tools to implement at home. And they're going to do, like you said, it's like this hodgepodge of different people's wisdom. And I think, if we take the biblical counsel of in the presence of many counselors, there is safety. It's like never just, I was going to say trailer your boat. That doesn't make sense. Never hitch your trailer to
I like trailer your
one author.
Yeah. That's dangerous.
Yeah.
You become like you're following man.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of in the presence of many counselors. So for those of you out there who hear words like growing kids, and you're like, oh, I deconstructed and I hate my parents because they spanked us or they did this. Like, you know what? Get over yourself. And it's like, no, none of us know what we're doing. Like I tell parents all the time, it's like, we're not programmed to have it figured out, but by golly, man, look at these people who've written some pretty good stuff. Yeah. You can glean, right? Get a common ground. That's the biggest thing for my wife and I when we did Growing Kids was like, we just needed common ground. And we agreed, like, because we were really young in our marriage, we're not going to like be on the same page. Man, we're like way different. So let's both just say, put aside our preferences. We're both agreeing to this for today to get us started. And then we're going to keep adding to it. And we would talk about like reading a book by, Jerry Bridges or J.C. Ryle or, Shepherding a Child's Heart, whatever the next set was. And there'd be 4 or 5 things that just like, man, this is going to change our family. This is amazing. And, maybe, it'd be awesome if somebody could just put together the big hodgepodge of it all. Maybe that's what our school website will do eventually. But it's like, in the meantime, keep reading. Read it all. Like, consume stuff. You're a parent. What else you got to do? So.
Yeah.
On the school, so you asked Brigitte, like podcasts, books, devotionals, movies, etc. So what I would suggest, because we could suggest a million things, but I don't know how old the kids are. I don't know who this is for. I don't know really your style. But what you can do is go on the school community and say, I have a 14-year-old son who loves dinosaurs. What do you guys have that you've read in the past that's been good? The other thing I'll say about discipleship, not necessarily wouldn't recommend this to just give this to your kid. When we used to do discipleship, you would give me and some of the other boys that like to read more, like you had us go through some books by Bill Nye, some books by people that we totally disagree with. That's literally written from an atheistic
I hate God.
evolution, I hate God perspective. And we would read the whole book. And we would show up to discipleship and talk about what in this chapter did you find like interesting? What was like super wrong? What are you confused about? What questions do you have? And that's a great tool for a kid that like loves to talk and loves to read. Don't feel like you have to pick the books. Like you said, 80-20, you can pick the books that are 10-90. Like, you know, most of it's trash, but that's sort of the whole point is to, because it really gives you the opportunity to get a gauge on where your kid's discernment is and then to help grow that. I've thought it was a blast. Like, I'm just argumentative as a person, I guess, naturally.
No.
Me?
No.
But anyway, and so I thought it was a blast because you could go through and like pick apart their argument, and it taught me a ton. And so don't feel like you can go the opposite end of the spectrum. The important thing is that you're talking them through it. And then what they're individually consuming, which is what you're asking in the second question, I would just ask that in school because it's a massive question. I'm trying to think if there's any generalized themes that we like, but I can't think of any. Huge question. Yeah, I kind of drawn a blank because it's just a massive question on.
What was the question? I wasn't listening.
Yeah, I missed what that.
Encourage our boys with what's outside of us. Good podcast, books, devotionals, especially if the topics are ones which a homeschool child can relate. So you wrote Thoughts for Young Men and Future Men by Douglas Wilson, J.C. Ryle, but those are like discipleship books. So what do you give them?
I was going to say too, there's a lot of resources now, thankfully for Christians and kids like of all ages. So like Douglas Wilson, they have Canon Press. I don't agree with all of their theology.
You don't?
But man, I'll just go ahead and say that. But they have some great things. They have audiobooks. They have documentaries. They have little kids shows and stuff that they've done. So you can go
cool series for like tweens, right? Boys that who like adventure. There's these books that like what's his name? Andy Wilson. He's awesome. It's actually his son, I guess. But he's a great author, and you guys read some of that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Andy Wilson is good.
It's all out there. You just gotta like search.
If we're naming them, Andrew Peterson, the singer, has a couple of really good books. Brian Davis was one we used to like a long time ago. There's like Christian books about their fantasy. They're about dragons.
Was the Aragon series, is that Christian or is that garbage?
Aragon series was pretty good. Not Christian, but written by a 16-year-old homeschooler.
Go to any homeschool community and they all it's hilarious.
Well, we basically have a homeschool community. So that's why I'm like, just
that's
ask
true,
just drop what are you looking for specifically, and then how old are the kids? And
there you go.
I'd say we'll chime into that more once we know more context, but also you want to hear from everybody else. Like someone asked that the other day, what are good books for this year-old? And I commented, but then I learned like formal books from other people that went on that and commented. So it's fun.
There's so many out there.
Well, that's the point, right? Learn from others. You can't do it all. That's for and I think that's been my biggest like blessing at Future Men is I realized, okay, these problems are like, they're way out of my league. So you enlist the help of everybody else.
Yeah.
Right. Everybody around you. And it's like, I've got great staff, and Lord willing, we'll build a good community where you feel like I can ask anything. I have a question on, a sex question that's really weird and specific, and I don't know how to talk about it. You ask on the school community, and it's like, wow, 3 other people have already been through that.
Yeah.
And it's just super encouraging. So
yeah, it's awesome.
Yep.
So if you haven't heard it enough from this episode, join the school community. It's the top link in the show notes. Other than that, if you have questions and you're not part of the community, you can always email them to us at questions@futurefamiliesmedia.com. Other than that, thanks for listening. Have a great week, and we will see you next time. Bye.